Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next hour, PM Narendra Modi speaks with Amir of Qatar, condemns attacks in Doha, reiterates India's support in resolution of issues through dialogue and diplomacy. Nepalese army extends nationwide curfew amid rising unrest. Gen Z protesters name candidate for interim PM, but division remains on proposed names. Polish PM Donald Tusk condemns Russia's alleged violation of airspace, calls for emergency meeting of NATO allies. European countries slam Moscow, Russia denies violation. And protesters take to streets in France, challenging President Emmanuel Macron's leadership and newly appointed PM. Nation blanketed by Block Everything movement. Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke with Amir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, and expressed deep concern at the attacks in Doha and condemned the violation of sovereignty of the state of Qatar. In a social media post, PM said, and I quote, India condemns the violation of sovereignty of the brotherly state of Qatar. We support resolution of issues through dialogue and diplomacy and avoiding escalation. India stands firmly in support of peace and stability in the region and against terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. Prime Minister Modi also spoke to his Italian counterpart Giorgia Meloni. Both leaders reaffirmed joint commitment to deepen India-Italy strategic partnership and ending the Ukraine conflict. The leaders reviewed and positively assessed the developments in bilateral strategic partnership across sectors such as investment, defense, security, space, science and technology, education, people-to-people ties and counter-terrorism. Both leaders reaffirmed their commitment towards further deepening of the partnership in line with the Joint Strategic Action Plan 2025-29. They also exchanged views on regional and global issues of mutual interest. They agreed on the need for an early and peaceful resolution of the conflict in Ukraine. PM Modi reiterated India's full support for efforts in this direction. Prime Minister Meloni reiterated Italy's strong support for conclusion of a mutually beneficial India-EU free trade agreement at the earliest, and for the success of the AI Impact Summit to be hosted by India in 2026. The leaders also agreed on taking steps to promote connectivity under India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor Initiative. The leaders agreed to remain in touch. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has extended his heartfelt congratulations to Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre of Norway on his re-election. Modi emphasized India's commitment to deepening bilateral cooperation with Norway across sectors. In a post on X, PM Modi said, and I quote, "Congratulations to Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre on his re-election. I look forward to continue working closely together to further strengthen the India-Norway partnership in all areas." Unquote. Following 2 days of violent protest, Nepal remained somewhat calm on Wednesday. A few Gen Z representatives proposed name of former Chief Justice Sushila Karki to lead interim government. However, in the late evening, many people expressed their dissatisfaction with the proposed name. Amid sign of stability and calmness, the main airport in Kathmandu also reopened on Wednesday.
Nepal was rocked by a wave of violent protests led by its young population. Nepal Parliament, Hilton Hotel, Nepal's main administrative centre Singha Darbar, among others in Kathmandu, were set ablaze. According to Nepal's health ministry, the death toll from the protests had risen to 25 by Wednesday, while 633 people were also injured. Nepali soldiers patrol the streets of Kathmandu as they seek to restore order. Army said prohibitory orders would remain in force until Thursday morning, adding that relevant parties were coordinating to tackle the situation after the protests. The Nepali army requested protesters to return weapons and ammunition looted during the protests to security personnel. Nepal police said on Wednesday that more than 13,500 prisoners broke out of jails across the country during anti-government protests this week. The upheaval in the Himalayan nation was unleashed by a social media ban that was announced last week but was rolled back after the violent protests.
It's an outcome of the present government which is soaked in corruption. The incompetent leaders banned social media to hide their corruption, which was exposed through social media. It is an outcome of citizens' anger, because of which the regime has toppled, and it is an outcome of the incompetent leaders' bad deeds.
Nonetheless, the country began returning to normalcy on Wednesday. Youths turned up to clear rubble, broken furniture, and shattered glass in Kathmandu. Youths cleaned up offices, swept floors and pavements, packed debris into trash bags, and loaded garbage trucks. The reopening of the main airport in Kathmandu was another indication of the country returning to normalcy. However, many passengers remained stranded at the Kathmandu airport. The secretary of the Supreme Court Bar Association, who was consulted by the protesters, said that Nepal's Gen Z protesters want former Chief Justice Sushila Karke as the interim Prime Minister. With Fuzail Ahmed, Tanvita Nija for DD India.
The Embassy of India in Beijing on Wednesday issued an advisory for Indian citizens currently undertaking the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra via Nepal, following disruptions caused by the prevailing situation in Nepal. According to the advisory, the situation has affected travel arrangements of Indian citizens on the pilgrimage organized by private tour operators through Nepal. The embassy also cautioned Indian citizens to remain alert and advised to take the necessary care and precautions. Shifting focus to Europe, France is reeling from a wave of unrest that has swept across the nation. Fires, barricades and mass arrests marked a day of chaos as thousands took to the streets under the banner of Block Everything movement, challenging President Emmanuel Macron's leadership and testing the resolve of newly appointed Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu. DD India's Rahul Pandya reports.
Fires, barricades and clashes with police marked a day of chaos across France as thousands of demonstrators took to the streets under the banner of the Block Everything movement.
It is very good that Bayrou resigned and his government too, but I think the next Prime Minister will not be better. Well, I don't expect any satisfactory Prime Minister.
Nearly 200 people were arrested in the early hours of the protests, which saw roads blocked, garbage bins set ablaze, and tear gas deployed in major cities including Paris, Rennes, and Marseille. The unrest follows a dramatic shake-up in France's political leadership. Prime Minister Francois Bayrou was ousted in a parliamentary confidence vote triggered by his controversial austerity budget. In a swift move, President Emmanuel Macron appointed Sébastien Lecornu as his successor, marking the fifth prime ministerial change in less than 2 years. Interior Minister Bruno Retailleau confirmed the deployment of 80,000 police officers nationwide, with 6,000 stationed in Paris alone. Amid the turmoil, newly appointed Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu arrived for his official handover ceremony. In his first public statement, Lecornu acknowledged the gravity of the situation and called for dialogue.
We must fundamentally put an end to this double disconnect. The disconnect between the political situation and the disconnect with what our fellow citizens legitimately expect for their daily lives, for the economic and social situation, and for the security. In short, this is what we are obviously tasked with.
As protests loom and political divisions deepen, Le Cornu has issued a call for dialogue and unity. Whether his appeal will resonate with the public and calm the streets remain uncertain. Only time will tell if this moment becomes a turning point or another chapter in France's ongoing political turbulence. Rahul Upadhyay's report for DD India.
Sébastien Lecornu has just taken charge as France's new Prime Minister, but the country is already witnessing nationwide protests against government policies. Citizens have taken to the streets demanding changes while the new PM stands firm. Our correspondent Rohini Gosavi reports from Paris.
Sébastien Lecornu officially took charge as France's Prime Minister after being appointed by President Emmanuel Macron. Lecornu is former defense minister and trusted ally of President Macron, who hopes that Lecornu will bring stability and strength back to the government after current unrest in France. But outside, the French people are neither happy nor calm with this change. They are on streets, protesting in major cities like Paris, Marseille, Lyon and Lille. These protesters carried banners calling the appointment more of the same and demanding real answers on jobs, housing and the cost of living. They are saying Lecornu represents continuity, not change. On the other hand, Lecornu's appointment is seen as a safe choice by the president, someone who will likely continue to the same policies, including the strict budget cuts that have already triggered so much anger. And after all this crisis, the question remains, will this new Prime Minister bring a fresh budget, or will he simply carry forward the old one that caused the former Prime Minister's political support? For Lecornu, the challenges ahead are immediate and heavy. He must win over a divided parliament and calm the restless public. This protest shows the scale of the task. The Prime Minister may have taken charge, but the people are making it clear. They want more than just a change of faces. They want a change of course. Next few days will show whether Sébastien Lecornu can bring real change or if France will face more political and social turmoil. Citizens across the country are watching closely and hoping for the solutions that touch their daily lives. This is Rohini Gosavi in Paris for DD India.
And still to come on DD India Newshour. EU may list independent Chinese refineries in new Russia sanctions package. Israel strikes rebel-held capital Sana'a in Yemen. And Iran says more talks needed to bring about IAEA inspections.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Russian drones allegedly breached Polish airspace, prompting NATO forces to shoot them down. Polish PM Donald Tusk urged NATO unity, invoking Article 4. Ukraine's Zelensky called it a dangerous precedent, while UK PM Starmer and NATO chief Rutte condemned Russia's actions. EU's von der Leyen echoed the alarm, calling the incident unprecedented. Russia denied targeting Poland, citing drone range limits. NATO is assessing the breach as Europe watches closely. Mohammad Afsarul Hassan has the detailed report.
Amid escalating tensions in Eastern Europe, reports emerge of Russian drones breaching Polish airspace. NATO forces reportedly engaged and shot down the drones, raising alarm across Europe. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk has called for an emergency meeting of the NATO allies, invoking Article 4 of the treaty.
The situation
brings us the closest we have been to open conflict since World War II. We have a full-scale war beyond our Ukrainian-Russian border, but we already have something that goes beyond the bounds of mere provocations in our own skies. And perhaps today we need to say it again, very loudly and clearly. Poland today has a political enemy who does not conceal his hostile intentions beyond its eastern border.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stated that at least 8 drones targeted Polish territory during the Russian strike. Describing it as a dangerous precedent for Europe, Zelensky urged allies to respond with strength and unity. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer strongly condemned Russia's actions, reaffirming the UK's support for both Poland and Ukraine.
Mr. Speaker, last night Russia launched drones into Poland in an unprecedented attack. I've been in touch with the Polish Prime Minister this morning to make clear our support for Poland. We will stand firm in our support for Ukraine. With our partners and through our leadership of the coalition willing, we will continue to ramp up the pressure on Putin until there's a just and lasting peace.
NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte also condemned the breach, calling it absolutely reckless. He confirmed that a thorough assessment of the incident is currently underway.
Last night, numerous drones from Russia violated Polish airspace. Our air defenses were activated and successfully ensured the defense of NATO territory, as they are designed to do. Allies expressed solidarity with Poland and denounced Russia's reckless behavior. A full assessment of the incident is ongoing. What is clear is that the violation last night is not an isolated incident.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen echoed EU concerns, terming the drone violation as both reckless and unprecedented.
Just today we have seen a reckless and unprecedented violation of Poland and Europe's airspace by more than 10 Russian Shahid drones. Europe stands in full solidarity with Poland.
Russian Defense Ministry in a statement said that there were no plans to target any Polish territory and the UAVs used had a maximum range of 700 kilometers, insufficient to strike Poland from launching pads within Russia. The ministry stated that it is ready to hold consultations on this subject with the Polish Defense Ministry. Muhammad Absarul Hassan reports for DT India.
The European Commission is considering listing some independent Chinese refineries in its 19th package of sanctions against Russia over its operations in Ukraine. The Commission may propose the new package as soon as Friday after an EU delegation returns from sanctions talks in Washington. The EU is ramping up the size of third country companies it lists, from small, unknown shell companies moving dual-use goods to Moscow to established entities that aid Russia in circumventing Western restrictions. The EU has been eyeing some Chinese refineries since the summer for possible Russian oil purchases from the already sanctioned shadow fleet. EU sanctions require unanimity from member states in order to pass. Israel's strike on Hamas leaders in Qatar heightened tensions at a critical moment for ceasefire talks. The attack drew sharp international criticism, including from US President Trump and regional allies. With diplomacy under strain, the path to a ceasefire now faces greater uncertainty.
The Israel-Hamas conflict flared up again as Israel struck Hamas leaders in Doha, just as fresh ceasefire efforts were showing promise. Israel defended the strike as the right move, but many fear it could derail progress on a Trump-mediated ceasefire deal.
Hamas has rejected everything so far. They continually reject every offer that's put on the table. They rejected one the other day that pretty much has been the position of the president throughout, and that is they have to surrender, they have to go, they can't stay and have any future in Gaza, and they have to let all of the hostages go. And they have utterly rejected that. How this affects it, I simply think the answer is we don't know.
Reflecting global concerns, Jordan and China condemned the attack on Wednesday, while UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed made an unscheduled visit to Qatar in a show of solidarity. India also expressed concern over their strikes, urging all parties to exercise restraint and pursue diplomacy to maintain peace in the region. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer also condemned Israel's strikes, calling them a violation of Qatar's sovereignty.
I condemn the strikes that Israel carried out in Doha yesterday. They violate Qatar's sovereignty. They do nothing to secure the peace that the UK and so many of our allies are committed to. I spoke to the Emir of Qatar last night, soon after the attack, to convey our support and solidarity. He was crystal clear that notwithstanding the attacks, he would continue to work on a diplomatic solution to achieve a ceasefire and a two-state outcome.
The Israeli operation drew sharp criticism, including a rare rebuke from US President Donald Trump, who said he was not informed beforehand and was not thrilled about the strike on US ally Qatar. Doha said it received the warning only after the attack had already begun.
I don't have to do that. I'm not thrilled about the whole situation. It's not a good situation. But I will say this, we want the hostages back, but we are not thrilled about the way that went down today. Very unhappy about every aspect, and we got to get the hostages back. But I was very unhappy about the way that went down.
Amid continued diplomatic fallout, efforts to reach a ceasefire remain complicated, although Qatar has affirmed it will continue its role in mediation. Ravindra Chauhan's report for DD India.
Israel struck the Yemeni capital Sana'a and the northern province of Al Jawf on Wednesday, with Houthi media saying the attacks had killed and wounded several people. The strikes are the latest in more than a year of strikes and counter-strikes between Israel and Houthi militants in Yemen. The Israeli military said it had struck military camps, the headquarters of the Houthi military propaganda department, and a fuel storage site. The attack came days after an August 30 strike on Sana'a killed the Prime Minister of the Houthi-run government and several ministers, in the first such assault to target senior officials. In a statement, the Israel Defense Forces said its Air Force struck military camps in which operatives of the terrorist regime were identified, the Houthis' military public relations headquarters, and a fuel storage facility that was used by the terrorist regime. Iran and the UN nuclear watchdog, International Atomic Energy Agency, reached a deal on resuming inspections at nuclear sites, including those bombed by the US and Israel in June. The agreement was signed in Cairo by Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi and International Atomic Energy Agency Chief Rafael Grossi. It was Iran's first high-level meeting with the IAEA since it suspended cooperation with the agency following the 12-day conflict with Israel in June, which saw Israeli and US strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. IAEA Chief Grossi described the agreement as an important step in the right direction.
And yesterday in Cairo, an important step in the right direction was taken with the agreement on practical modalities for the implementation of safeguards in Iran, signed by me and His Excellency, the Foreign Minister of Iran, Dr. Abbas Araghchi. It was encouraging for us to see Iran's declared willingness not to leave the NPT and to continue working inside the international non-proliferation regime.
Iranian Foreign Minister, however, earlier warned that any move to reimpose UN sanctions would halt the practical steps set out in the deal.
I shall stress that in case of any hostile act against my country, and in the event of reimposition of terminated United Nations Security Council resolutions, Iran will regard these practical steps as terminated.
Novo Nordisk, the maker of the popular weight loss drug Wegovy, announced it will cut 9,000 jobs globally, the largest layoff in Denmark's history, in an effort to revive growth and combat fierce competition from US rival Eli Lilly and copycat drugs. The restructuring is expected to save $1.25 billion annually, but comes amid stalled sales growth, a sharp drop in share value, and 3 profit warnings this year. The company, which doubled its workforce in recent years, aims to simplify its organization, boost production, and focus on diabetes and obesity markets under new CEO Mike Doordarshan.
We will simplify structures, cut duplications, and sharpen our focus. Unfortunately, this also means reducing our global workforce by around 9,000 positions, including about 5,000 roles here in Denmark. I know these are difficult decisions. We will handle them with fairness, transparency, and utmost care.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump have voiced optimism about reaching a trade deal after months of friction over tariffs. PM Modi said negotiations with Washington would unlock, in fact, the limitless potential of the India-US partnership, and added that both leaders will speak in the upcoming weeks. President Trump also expressed confidence about a successful conclusion of trade talks between the two countries. Here's more in this report.
Negotiations on the India-US bilateral trade agreement are set to gain fresh momentum after Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Donald Trump of the United States expressed confidence in trade talks reaching an early conclusion on Wednesday. In a social media post, Prime Minister Modi said that India and the US are close friends and natural partners. He reaffirmed the strength of the India-US relationship and expressed confidence that the trade negotiations between the two nations will pave the way for unlocking the limitless potential of the India-US partnership. PM further said that the teams at both sides are working to conclude these discussions at the earliest. PM Modi added that he is looking forward to speaking with US President Donald Trump soon. Prime Minister expressed hope towards working together with President Trump to secure a brighter, more prosperous future for the people of both nations. Just hours after Prime Minister Modi posted on X, US President Donald Trump reposted the comments made by PM Modi on Truth Social. Earlier on the social media platform Truth Social, President Trump said that India and the US will continue negotiations to address the trade barriers. The US President added that he looks forward to speaking with his very good friend, Prime Minister Modi, in the upcoming weeks. He expressed confidence that there will be no difficulty in coming to a successful conclusion of trade talks between the two countries. The trade negotiations were put on hold after the US negotiators' team cancelled its visit to New Delhi ahead of the 6th round of face-to-face discussions, which was scheduled to begin on the 25th of August. However, Thorn ties might play a crucial role in finalizing the long-pending trade agreement between India and the United States. Bureau Report, DD India.
The Council of the Regional Anti-Terrorist Structure, known as a Regional Entity Terrorist Structure of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, condemned the Pahalgam terror attack at their 44th meeting in Kyrgyzstan on Wednesday. The Council of Regional Anti-Terrorist Structure firmly endorsing the statement in the Tianjin Declaration signed during the SCO Council of Heads of State meeting attended by Prime Minister Modi. The Deputy National Security Advisor of India, T.V. Ravichandran, appealed to hold accountable the sponsors, organizers and financiers of heinous Pahalgam terror attack. He also called out the need to shun double standards and resolve to fight terrorism in all forms and manifestations. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri met UAE's Minister of State for International Cooperation, Reem Al-Hashmi, during her visit to New Delhi on Wednesday. Foreign Secretary and the UAE Minister of State reviewed the entire spectrum of the multifaceted India-UAE Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. They took stock of various ongoing initiatives in diverse sectors of bilateral cooperation, as well as the implementation of key decisions taken during high-level meetings and exchanges. They also exchanged views on global and regional issues of mutual interest. And let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Hong Kong's Legislative Council on Wednesday vetoed a bill granting limited legal rights to same-sex couples married overseas, disappointing LGBTQ advocates. Despite being a rare liberal proposal amid increasing political control, it faced strong opposition from pro-Beijing and religious groups. Invasive plant species are threatening Iraq's already shrinking Euphrates River. The Euphrates River is running at historically low levels as drought-stricken Iraq faces its worst water scarcity in living memory due to choked with invasive plants. And climbers gathered at Mount Fuji on Wednesday for the final day of Japan's summer climbing season. The season saw nearly 150,000 climbers, slightly up from last year. Officials reported no major incidents and planned to review the season for improvements. And still to come on DD India Newshour. As Nepal faces unrest, we go deep to explore what is the actual cause. And India's first overseas Atal Innovation Centre launched in Abu Dhabi.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage, and colorful culture.
Johar. Johar. Arey, it fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout ho gaya.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
You're watching DD India Newshour. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. Nepal has witnessed unprecedented incidents and recklessness this week. Army has taken over the charge of the country and extended the curfew in some parts of the country. To understand the evolving situation that where Nepal is going and it is unfolding, we've been joined by our correspondent Shweta Singh, who is joining us from Kathmandu for the latest, and we've also been joined by our guest Manjeev Singh Puri, former Indian ambassador to Nepal. Shweta and Mr. Manjeev, welcome to DD India Newshour. First to you, Shweta, what are you picking up from Ground Zero?
Siddharth, you see here as this is the third day of the Gen Z protest, and until yesterday it was very chaotic situation on the ground. Youth were burning tires, blocking the roads, and it was complete chaos in spite curfew was in place. And today you say we had prohibitory orders till 5 p.m. So any movement on roads was banned, but few were out on roads for basic needs, for basic services. But otherwise it was peaceful in Kathmandu Valley. But outside Kathmandu Valley, we had visuals from East Nepal and from borders. There, youth were at Unrest. They were again, situation was chaotic. But in Valley, because of Nepali army, situation was under control. In fact, Nepali army did a splendid job, I would say, nabbing on the prisoners who tried to escape from jails. Looters who burnt and torched Bhatbheteni in Maharajganj, in Naxal, in Bhaktapur. So nabbing those people who were looting all the properties, burning down buildings. So Nepali army really did a good job, I would say. And it brought peace to the valley. Okay. Because now people know there is someone to take care of us. So Nepali army is definitely patrolling across the roads. That way the valley is secure. But outside the condition is really, I wouldn't say very safe. Though it has been told in Jhapa the condition are fairer now. Because till afternoon, even in Jhapa there were cases of unrest. But today, now it is a bit normal. And you see, as Ashok Sigdalji, Nepali chief army, had invited Gen Z representatives to come and talk to
What
him
happened there?
regarding. Yeah, actually, a few representatives, because see, Gen Z is like huge crowd. They are unorganized. And these kids, I would say kids because they are too young, like 15, 16, 17 years of kids, many youth, I would say they were there. So a few representative of Gen Z, they went and requested for Sushila Karki, who is a former Chief Justice of Nepal, retired Chief Justice of Nepal. But then again, immediately there was resentment that they don't want Sushila Karki in interim government, in the incoming government. So see, again today in the evening, late evening, we had news that Dharan mayor, he's also very popular, 42-year-old Harka Sampan. He visited Ashok Sigdal. So it is also one of the face, because in eastern Nepal he's popular. So one of the phase that is approaching for incoming government.
Got it, Shweta, got it. Okay,
yeah,
continuous. Okay, I got it. Continuous patrolling is going on and the situation is developing. We'll keep taking updates from you, Shweta, but as of now, we leave it there. Thank you so much. Now, I would like to come to our guest, Manjeev Singh Puri, former Indian ambassador to Nepal. Sir, Gen Z on streets of Nepal showing muscle power. People are facing alarming condition. Top leaders' houses are burned and of course top leaders have also resigned. The entire political landscape, when we talk about in the country, is shaken. What do you think is the reason behind these deadly protests? Because social media ban was certainly not the only reason. Sir, I think, sir, if you can hear me, you have to unmute, sir.
Yeah, apologies.
And you have to start again, sir.
Yeah, I will. Thank you very much. Look, today in Nepal, look what happened. Yesterday there was wanton mobocracy. That's when the political leaders were humiliated, there was torching of buildings, etc. The day before that, the government had taken such hard action. Young people were killed, some 22 odd people were killed in Nepal, in Kathmandu, something which has never been witnessed in that country. Let me tell you, it's a very different country from India.
Okay.
Spite of what we think and so on, and never in Kathmandu, never among the Pahari communities, etc. This is not the Pradesh. Let's understand that particular aspect. So last night, the army came out and said, appeal for calm. Even the Gen Z leaders appealed for calm. And today, you know what the reports are? Many people are turning around and say the same guys who were walking the streets yesterday were today with brooms trying to clean up the place. That's Nepal for you. And as your correspondents noted, this is happening in Kathmandu. She used the expression, all looking kind of good, safe, and so on.
Yeah.
It will happen in the rest of Nepal also. It takes a little bit of time for the message to travel, nothing else to it. Talking about the army. Look, it's General Sigdal, and if you don't mind my telling your reporter is not Ashokji. Okay, General Sigdal is the Chief of Army Staff of Nepal, and it's important to understand what we are saying. The Nepalese army is, of course, like any other country in the world, but particularly so in small countries, an important bulwark of security. Of course, the last bastion of security. And what happened yesterday, did they allow things to go around? Perhaps they did. There's a playbook from Sri Lanka, isn't it? Let a little bit of steam out, because what else do you do? If you take hard-headed action, it will inflame the people, the situation will go out of control, you won't be able to do anything.
I understand, Ambassador Puri, I clearly understand what you're trying to say, but my question is that, in your assessment, what is the core reason of these protests? Because social media ban was certainly not the only reason of these protests.
No, so just please understand what I'm trying to say to you. Look, the social media ban was the thin end of the wedge. In Nepal, you know, the country has changed a lot in 30 years. It's a country very exposed to Western ideals. It's a country exposed to liberalization. Post the Maoist insurgency, there are a lot of NGOs, churches, etc. So activism is an inherent part of the way that society has changed. Plus, they are very connected to the world. 20% of Nepalese population lives overseas, huge amount of remittances, and so on. The Nepalese government, on the other hand, very strong. 3 people have been prime ministers for the last 10, 12 years. For the last year and a half, the 2 major parties came together in a grand coalition. And after that, they said, we've got 2/3 of parliament. What's the need of even having your finger on the pulse of the people? So, in some senses, disconnect, unresponsiveness of the government, bad amounts of corruption which people saw, noticed, and felt that the government was not at all responding to them. Their frustrations high up in the air. And social media was a channel by which you vented it. That also was stopped. And there were lots of statements by the Prime Minister, Mr. K.P. Sharma Oli, disparaging people who are using social media, because he was saying, you are attacking Nepal, when actually they were attacking him and his government. So all of this happened. And finally, very ham-handed and very brutal manner of dealing with the protesters which are gathered there. No doubt that the protesters also indulged in some degree of violence. They were perhaps instigated by different people too. But it's for the government to be able to act with maturity and to take situations account so that they don't get. They went out of hand, and the net result, a government which seemed invincible just the other day, fell literally one day to the other, or literally 1 minute to the other. Mr. Oli saw the writing straight on the wall. He had no choice in the matter.
Ambassador, you mentioned corruption. The protesters, are somewhere alleging or have alleged in the past that their hard-earned money is being misused by the kids of top politicians. Your reaction on that? There seems to be a Nepal youth versus Nepo kids kind of a scene. And despite the resignation of K.P. Sharma Oli, the country still faces unrest. What do you, what do you see the reason behind it?
I'm not sure about the unrest in that sense of the term, what we saw yesterday.
Okay.
But I can just tell you this. Look, corruption is there in all parts of the world. Let's be very clear about it.
Okay.
But in Nepal, it became something that the people saw and they felt frustrated themselves. What happens in most other developing countries, India included, there are avenues, there's growth, things are happening, etc. The Nepalese economy after COVID has not really done well. The only thing for young people was go abroad. That was fine. But when you went abroad, you raised the aspirations of the people who left behind. They felt frustrated. Here was a government not at all responding. So it's a matter that has been simmering for a long time was there. This was the thin edge of the wedge and nothing other than that. But ham-handed handling, in my opinion, was responsible. But the reality is that this was a government which was absolutely unresponsive to its people, and it has paid the price for it in a rather unfortunate set of manner with violence and so on. Certainly something which doesn't give credit to Nepal and democracy. But on the other hand, we hope that through this there will be revitalized democracy in Nepal.
Okay, Ambassador, now with the government toppled there, K.P. Sharma Oli resigned and many other ministers have also resigned. What's your assessment of the future economic impact in the region? Because Nepal economy is small in size, there are not much resources, and maximum resources of income are from tourism in the country. So what do you have to say on that?
Difficult. Look, it's very easy to be frustrated, to take out your anger and be critical. So you've got the head of the government's head, you've got retribution given to you. But is there a magic wand that Nepal will become Switzerland tomorrow? The answer is no. And this realization is a difficult realization to dawn when you think that you've gone out to achieve something. So the situation is going to remain very difficult, dire, not easy to handle. And
so how will the country deal with it, sir? How do you think the country will deal with the economic crisis?
Great deal of difficulty. You mentioned tourism. Think about it, that even if I say that things are returning to normal, will somebody from USA or even from India travel to Nepal? He'll think twice. He'll say, what? There is unrest there. It takes 6-8 months for people to stabilize in each and every one of these things. Tourism goes. You don't have much of an export. You are a country dependent on remittances. So what is the state of play? Is the global economy booming? It isn't. So your remittances are also at a standstill. Very difficult situation for them and requires dexterous handling. My understanding is that what will come out of all this is a kind of techno bureaucratic political kind of government. Some elements of, let's say, the Chief Justice or someone like that, apolitical but with a bit of a stature leading it. some Gen Z, some other untainted politicians, some bureaucrats, etc. So this kind of an interim arrangement to try to take things forward. But in the end, why in the end? Hopefully sooner they'll say, look, it's time to give voice to the people. We hold elections. Let's see what happens. Will it be any different? Very difficult for me to say so. The will of the people across the country, very, very difficult to talk about it. The Gen Z had shown their ire even in 2022, electing 20 members into the parliament from Kathmandu, young people, but the old guard.
Okay.
That didn't happen.
Okay.
Now, there will be a different way of looking at it and thinking about it, hopefully across the population.
Okay.
But
we have to wait and see, Ambassador, what happens.
More empathetic and more sympathetic to the people.
Ambassador, very quickly, I want to ask you one thing, that what happens next now, according to you? Do you see fresh elections happening or a caretaker government? What?
It will have to be caretaker government for a little bit.
Okay.
Dissolution of parliament. To hold elections is not an easy task. It takes time. You can't just do it tomorrow. So there will be a certain portion, and during that time, you have to enable a degree of calm. The banks, the industrial institutions need to start getting back into action, and then you take things forward. Extremely difficult, because to light the tinder box is very easy, but not just to douse the flames, but to bring things back to normalcy takes a great deal of time. And This is going to be a very testing time for Nepal, including this techno-bureaucratic political combination that I'm talking about.
Okay, thank you so much, Ambassador, for coming on to DD India News Hour. Thank you so much. We'll leave it there.
Thank you.
The Prime Minister of Mauritius, Dr. Naveen Chandra Ramgoolam, is on an 8-day state visit to India, strengthening the deep ties between our two nations. Today, we take you to Varanasi, the spiritual heart of India, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi's constituency, where PM Ramgoolam received a warm welcome.
The Prime Minister of Mauritius, Dr. Naveen Chandra Ramgoolam, is on an 8-day state visit to India, strengthening the deep ties between our two nations. Today, we take you to Varanasi, the spiritual heart of India, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi's constituency, where PM Ramgoolam received a warm welcome. Mauritian Prime Minister Dr. Naveen Chandra Ramgoolam touched down in Varanasi today and was greeted with a ceremonial guard of honor by the Indian Armed Forces. The vibrant city came alive with traditional cultural performances at the airport, showcasing India's rich cultural heritage. This marks a significant stop in PM Ramgoolam's itinerary, as Varanasi holds special importance as the parliamentary constituency of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In Varanasi, PM Ramgoolam is expected to visit iconic sites like the Kashi Vishwanath Temple and the sacred Ganga Ghats, immersing himself in the city's spiritual and cultural essence. The Mauritius PM's visit to Varanasi is not just diplomatic but deeply symbolic, reflecting the people-to-people ties that bind our nations. From Varanasi, Dr. Ramgoolam will also travel to Ayodhya, Tirupati and Mumbai, where he will attend a business event to boost economic collaboration. This visit, following PM Modi's trip to Mauritius earlier this year, signals a new chapter in India-Mauritius relations. As PM Ramgoolam continues his tour, all eyes are on how this partnership will shape a shared vision for peace, progress and prosperity. For now, Varanasi has set the stage for a warm and vibrant welcome. Akshay Dongre's report for DD India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also be visiting Uttarakhand on Thursday. He will travel to Dehradun to undertake an aerial survey of the flood-affected areas in Uttarakhand. Later, he will chair a high-level review meeting with officials. Also, India is stepping up its global trade engagement. While addressing FICCI Leads 2025, Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal said India aims to be part of the developed world by building enduring win-win partnerships with friendly nations. He highlighted trade agreements already signed with Australia, the UK, Chile and Peru, and noted that negotiations with the European Union are on fast track. A trade pact with Oman is also likely within weeks, while talks with the United States are underway. These deals are expected to bring investments of over $100 billion in the next 15 years.
We've concluded a very robust, fair, equitable and balanced free free trade agreement with UK last month. My colleague minister and friend Maros Sherkovich from EU is in town tomorrow onwards. Pankaj Khimji has to deliver the Oman FTA in days, weeks, what do I say? Weeks. We are in active dialogue with the United States of America, with New Zealand. Qatar and I will be finalizing the terms of reference, I think, first week of October. Chile, Peru.
Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan on Wednesday inaugurated India's first overseas Atal Innovation Centre at the IIT Delhi Abu Dhabi campus during his two-day official visit to the United Arab Emirates. At the inaugural ceremony, Minister Pradhan also launched two key academic programs, a PhD program in energy and sustainability and BTech program in chemical engineering. The Atal Innovation Mission, under which the new centre has been established, is the flagship initiative to promote innovation and entrepreneurship in India. During his visit, Dharmendra Pradhan commended the collaborative efforts from both leaders in strengthening India-UAE educational ties.
IIT Delhi decided to open their first campus, overseas campus in Abu Dhabi, and thankful to our collaboration between UAE and India. There is absolute clarity at the leadership level. His Highness, Royal Highness of UAE and Prime Minister Modi on the same page to create a global institution with the banner of IAEA.
India's premier policy think tank Niti Aayog has released the Year 1 report of the UK-India Infrastructure Financing Bridge, a joint initiative with City of London Corporation aimed at attracting global capital for India's sustainable infrastructure development, launched by Niti Aayog CEO BVR Subramaniam and City of London Corporation's Chris Hayward. The report outlines key recommendations to strengthen project planning, align with global standards like the UK's 5-case model, improve risk management and ensure investor confidence. It also highlights the importance of sustainability, ESG compliance and digital public infrastructure in building a robust, transparent project pipeline. A leadership development program on intelligent transportation systems has been launched by South Asian University and ITS India Forum in New Delhi. Speaking to DD India at the event, Professor K.K. Agarwal, the president of the South Asian University, emphasized that the intelligent transport system will be the future of the world and the university is keen to prepare leaders for the same.
Intelligent transport is the future, and it's not that the future will come to developed countries first and then later. It will probably come like a flood. We will not be able to even know it that it has come. Therefore, it is necessary for us to prepare the manpower while society like ITS works on the vehicles, works on the system and make sure we have better system, we have more cost-effective system, we have less accident systems and so on and so forth. The job of the university will be to prepare people to take on those roles because all of us will be new to those roles.
And in sports, India's top-ranked players Lakshya Sen and HS Pranoy progressed to the second round of Hong Kong Open on Wednesday. Sen secured a hard-fought win over Olympian Wang Zhu-Wei of Chinese Taipei. The Indian player held his nerve to win the opening game in a tie-break before losing the second. However, he clinched the deciding game to seal the match. Sen's compatriots HS Pranoy and Kiran George also advanced to the second round after second game victories. Ayush Shetty rallied from a game down to progress to the next round with a win over Chinese Taipei's Su Liang. Meanwhile, PV Sindhu faltered in the opening round as she exited the tournament. Sindhu won the opening game but lost the match 15-21, 21-16, 21-19 against Lene Kristoffersen of Denmark. This was Sindhu's first defeat in 6 meetings against Kristoffersen and her 6th first-round exit on the BWF World Tour this year. Dronacharya awardee table tennis coach Sandeep Gupta said that the future of Indian table tennis is very bright. In an exclusive chat with DD India correspondent, he highlighted the achievements of young Indian players and praised the government's support for the sport.
The second edition of the National Ranking Table Tennis Championship is underway in Delhi, and right now I'm joined by the table tennis coach Sandeep Gupta ji. Sir, a very warm welcome. A large number of players from all over the country are gathered here. A fantastic atmosphere too. So how these competitions are helping our athletes to be at the best in the international level also?
We are conducting it after more than 15 years, and in this championship more than 3,000 entries there, and this championship is mandatory event to conduct for national points, carrying the national points, and it's an essential tournament to select the Indian team. And this after conducting this championship, so many players are going to participate in the Asian Championship in Bhubaneswar.
Okay, the Asian Championship will be in Bhubaneswar. So right now we have many fantastic young players in the table tennis we have seen, and they are consistently performing at the events like Olympics, Asian Games. So right now, how you look the future of the Indian table tennis?
The future of Indian table tennis is very nice. Some young athletes, Payas Jain, Manav, Manush, are playing very well in international competitions, as well as some junior players are also playing fantastic table tennis. Right now, Devanshi Bhomik and Ritvik, some players are selected for the World Championship, in Junior World Championship.
So many players from the national level are selected for the World Championship. They are performing consistently at the international event. So overall, if you take a look at the way things are happening, the way several schemes are there for the athletes, for the grassroots level, we have the Khelo India and their top series also. So how you look the government initiative to give a boost to the Indian sporting ecosystem?
Central government is conducting Khelo India scheme and TOPS scheme. It is very good schemes. From this scheme, so many players are motivated and bunch of player pool is come up. And as well as the Delhi government is announced 7 crores, 5 crores and 3 crores for the Olympic gold, silver and bronze. So this is the government support, continuously supported the top players of the India. So I hope in future the table tennis and as well as other sports will do better.
Definitely, as the coach of the table tennis, Sandeep Gupta ji is saying that there is immense support from the government, and our athletes are also performing consistently at the top level, beating the world's top-notch player. This shows that the trajectory of the Indian table tennis is on the right direction. With camera person Rajendra Doshi, Narayan Singh, DD India, Delhi.
All right, and breaking news just coming in. India won their first match of the Asia Cup 2025 by a massive 9 wickets, courtesy to the great gameplay which is shown by the men in blue. Batting first, UAE made 57 runs and got bundled up in just 13.1 overs, whereas India made 60 runs with the loss of just 1 wicket, and that too in 4.3 overs. Goes on to show that how strong men in blue are and what is their mindset. Surya Kumar Yadav led side is certainly aiming to clinch the Asia Cup 2025. But this is just the beginning. Cricket is a very unpredictable game and a lot is yet to come. Their match against Pakistan will be something which everyone will have their eyes on. In fact, the entire world, because this is a high pressure game. In fact, the players also accept that. So on 14th, on Sunday, India will face off Pakistan, and we'll have to wait and see what happens in that encounter. But as of now, their entry in Asia Cup 2025 is just blockbuster. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.